The questions my generation is asking are the following, if I can summarize. It is that we do not understand how Africa, with so much wealth on our soil, with generous nature, water, sunshine and abundance, how Africa is today the poorest continent. Africa is a hungry continent, and how come there are heads of state all over the world begging? These are the questions we are asking ourselves, and we have no answers so far. We have the opportunity to forge new relationships, and I hope that these relationships can be the best ones to give our people a better future. My generation also asks me to say that because of this poverty, they are forced to cross the ocean to try to reach Europe. They die in the ocean, but soon they will no longer have to cross because they will come to our palaces to seek their daily bread. As far as what concerns Burkina Faso today, for more than 8 years we've been confronted with the most barbaric and the most violent form of imperialist neocolonialism. Slavery continues to impose itself on us. Our predecessors taught us one thing: a slave who cannot assume his own revolt does not deserve to be pitied. We do not feel sorry for ourselves. We do not ask anyone to feel sorry for us. The people of Burkina Faso have decided to fight against terrorism in order to relaunch their development.
Well, Niger is one of those states that has suffered from French military intervention and destruction in the region. The French are inordinately dependent on the exploitation and plunder of Africa. The French has military personnel in Niger. When their military personnel were thrown out of Mali and Burkina Faso, they were redeployed to Niger, and they were stoned on the way to their bases in Niger. The France has exploited the mineral and natural resources of Niger. The French uranium mines in Niger not only exploited the uranium resources of Niger, but France has also closed mines and left radioactive material that is deleterious to the health and safety of the Nigerian people. Now, everyone in West Africa is calling for the ending of the CFA franc and the domination of the economies of West Africa by France. They're calling for the removal of the 240,000 French personnel in West Africa. In the case of Niger, France is opposed to any plans for the reconstruction of the country. Let's take the major plan in this region for the reconstruction of the country. That is the replenishing of Lake Chad. You started this news broadcast this morning by talking about a fire in Hawaii. Those kinds of fires are going on all across West Africa because of global warming. Global warming has accelerated the depletion of Lake Chad. Lake Chad has lost 95% of its water resources. There's a plan by the Lake Chad Basin Authority to replenish Lake Chad. Who is against this? France. Who is against investment in reconstruction in West Africa? France. Who has been supporting, who allegedly has been supporting terror groups in West Africa? When the United States called for investigation into Boko Haram, it was revealed in the Nigerian newspapers that the French has been supporting Boko Haram in Nigeria. So the French create terrorist groups and then goes into African countries to say they are fighting terrorism in Africa. This kind of duplicity by France and fomenting terror and destruction has been challenged by the peoples of West Africa. In every country in West Africa, they're calling for the ending of French economic, financial, and military domination.
So, the Burkina Faso military junta has ordered the French embassy defense attaché to leave the country. I don't know if you saw this news that there was a coup attempt against Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. And I think that maybe through their investigations, they might have gotten some evidence that the French were behind it. And that was why the junta might have taken this decision to expel the defense attaché at the embassy. Like I have told you before, I honestly believe that the French are not sleeping, that all the backlash they are facing in Africa, they are looking for a way to counteract them. They are not just taking all these things lying low. And if any of these military junta in Africa thought that they have succeeded in pushing out the French from their respective countries, then they might have to think again. Because if there is one country that understands the long game, is France. They are very, very good at playing the long game, and they are so great at playing the divide and rule policy. That has been one of the most successful policies in Africa that the French instituted. The French have used this policy to govern African countries. They have split the people away from each other. They have pit them against each other. And by so doing, they have conquered the people without the people even being aware of it. So I want us to go through this article that shares some light as to the reason why the military junta expelled the French embassy defense attaché. So let's go through it. The headline reads, Burkina Faso junta orders French embassy's defense attaché to leave. That the military junta in Burkina Faso have ordered the French embassy military attaché to leave Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's military junta has ordered the French embassy's defense attaché to leave the country due to subversive behavior, it said in a leaked letter seen by Reuters on Friday. Attaché Emmanuel expulsion is the latest sign of increasing tension between the West African nation and its former colonizer, France, since a military government seized power in 2 coups last year. France has maintained strong ties with its former colonies and has troops stationed across West Africa, but hostility towards its presence has soared since a string of military coups. Critics see it as interference. The letter, dated September 14 and verified by Reuters, said Pasqua and his personnel had 2 weeks to leave the country. The French embassy in Ouagadougou could not be reached, a diplomatic source said. Pasqua was still in the country. France Foreign Ministry said it was looking into reports of the expulsion and could not immediately comment. The letter did not elaborate on what Pasqua did to prompt his expulsion. It said the defense section of the Burkina Faso embassy in Paris had been closed with immediate effect. Burkina Faso's self-appointed transition government has already ordered the departure of France's ambassador and that of United Nations senior official Barbara Manzi. There has also been a crackdown on French media. Anti-French sentiment has grown since Burkina Faso first fell under military rule in January 2022. several protests by opponents of the French military presence took place, partly linked to perceptions that France had not done enough to tackle jihadist insurgency that has spread in recent years from neighboring Mali. The prolonged insecurity led to political instability and spurred two military coups in Mali, two in Burkina Faso, and one in Niger since 2020. Niger's junta, which seized power at the end of July, expelled the French ambassador last month. So these are all the new developments from Burkina Faso. And I'm thinking the reason might be that they found that he might have been involved in some kind of illegal activities in the country. If you ask me, right, I have always made my point very clear, or I have always made my position very clear on this issue. I believe that we need to have a new negotiation with all this Western power. I believe that we need to unite Africa as a single entity. I believe that all the fighting going on in the Sahel against these insurgency groups should be carried out by Africans themselves. I believe that African solutions should be made to African problems. The West have been in Burkina Faso for many years, not just Burkina Faso, but the whole of the Sahel. And you begin to ask yourself, what have they done so far? If France was that entity that has the interests of the people at heart, I mean the people of Burkina Faso, wouldn't they have done things that would have improved the lives of the people in Burkina Faso? There's one thing I have said many times, and I do not want to sound like an anti-French, but my whole point is France in Africa has never been for the interests of the African people. It has always been for what France stands to gain from Africa. They have always cared so much about what they will get from the continent rather than what they would give in to the continent. And it's high time they just go. Because like I have said before, there is no point of keeping a relationship that doesn't benefit you. There is no point of having a friend around who doesn't consider you as anything, who doesn't value your culture, your traditions, your norms, and who doesn't even think of you as someone who deserves certain things. So why keep them? But you guys out there, what do you think might be the reason why Burkina Faso had to expel the French embassy's defense attaché? Is he somehow involved in activities that undermine the military junta in Burkina Faso? Share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, do not forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because little bit of goodwill, like the one you're doing just now, help us a lot and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.